Hey everybody, it's Friday at 5 o'clock, I think, where you're at, 6 o'clock where I'm at. We've been driving all day. As you guys know, we left to go to Disney, and I don't know how far away we are. We're still a couple hours from where we're going, but I've been, you know, watching and reading emails and talking on the phone and watching some of the articles up in Chicago, and looks like the people about had enough of Lightfoot, and I'm glad because she's more or less of a tyrant than Governor Pritzker is, from the best I can tell. But there was a letter sent today, which I think is important because it goes to show you that the voices of the people of the city are starting to be heard. So there was a letter sent by a bunch of the aldermen today that Ryan has a copy of here. There it is. It was sent today. They sent it to the mayor. And if you guys haven't seen this letter, you ought to take a look at it. Pretty much saying that you need to not be suspending without pay either law enforcement or firefighters, etc., because they don't want to be vaccinated and they don't want to submit their bodies to testing. So take a chance and read that letter. You know, the city aldermen are even going as far as to say they'll call a special meeting if they need to. So we'll see what happens. They're waiting to hear from her today, and I haven't heard anything to suggest that she's heard from, or they've heard from her. So, but that's a good thing. Okay. So, but let's talk about this issue a little bit if we could. First of all, I want to say that I did a video last night before we left trying to explain some of my views of the legalities of this. And it's certainly not to suggest that whatever legal maneuvering has been going on in Chicago by the unions on behalf of the public officials is not a way to have gone, or you could do that and other things. It's certainly not my place whatsoever. Actually, I think it's worth noting that many times the unions haven't fought really hard to protect their employees, and so I actually commend the unions for at least the ones that I know of we're talking about right now, the firefighters and the police officers of Chicago are fighting very hard, and I commend them for that, because as you guys have seen, the union for the teachers union in Chicago, they're absolutely hammering on their members that don't want to be vaccinated. So again, I commend the firefighters and the police department union leadership for taking that fight on. But still, again, my point is I want to make out is there's more than one way to look at these. Sorry, my phone is saying I don't have a signal, so I'm not sure if I've lost you guys or not. Oh, the issue of how to address this thing with the mayor and with the city is a question, okay? And I know there's been some efforts, using the collective bargaining process to address the lack of desire of members to want to be vaccinated. And I get those efforts. Again, I'm not here to question them. But I think that there's something else to be considered. Because if you're aware, the whole effort by the city to be able to try to force the union members to do this is predicated on a policy that they passed in August, okay? So without that policy, you never get to the collective bargaining process. So to me, you have to look at the policy that was adopted by the city, and you have to question its lawfulness. So put it up there for a second, Ryan. Sorry, guys, my allergies are bothering me a little bit too. Okay, see, here's the vaccination policy. I'm sorry I said August. It was October, okay? Scroll down to the scope and applicability, Ryan. Oh, went way too fast. Where's the part about the limitation? Okay, go to the top. Go up to number 1. You see there under the purpose where it says this policy is intended to comply with all federal, state, and local laws. So Does this policy comply with federal, state, and local law? Yes or no? If it does not comply, then the policy is unlawful. And if the policy is unlawful, you don't get to collective bargaining because you don't have anything that they can try to get you guys to do. So that's the point I was trying to make, is that this is a step that I think is worth looking at, the lawfulness of this policy, this vaccination policy adopted by the city. Does the city of Chicago, in and of itself, have the authority under the Constitution, state law, whatever you want to call it, to adopt a vaccination policy for the people that live within the city? My opinion is I don't think they do. I think there's serious question as to the lawfulness of this vaccination policy. I'm not going to get into those in detail because if we have to go down that path, we will. It has to do with when we argued before, the lawfulness of the governor's executive order. Even though it's a completely different branch of government, it's still, what was the lawfulness of his executive orders? What was the lawfulness, example, of school districts' authority? And all of that is grounded upon either the Illinois Constitution or the Illinois legislative acts. And so I think that there needs to be an effort testing the lawfulness of this vaccination policy. And I've got some solid arguments to say that it violates the law, the Illinois Constitution and Illinois law. And I already know what arguments they would try to make. It's not like I haven't thought them through, but I don't think they can win. And so if you are successful in arguing this policy is unlawful and it wipes it out, the collective bargaining process then becomes unnecessary. Does that make sense to you guys? So that's what I wanted to clarify for you. It's not about whether or not that those legal efforts in the collective bargaining process were good, bad, indifferent, or otherwise. It's just my opinion. It's no better or worse than anybody else's opinion, and you can do with it what you want, that vaccination policy of the city needs to be questioned. Because without giving anybody legal advice, I'm telling you again, I think that policy is unlawful. I don't think any city in the state of Illinois can adopt public health policy. Public health is a statewide issue. The coronavirus is a statewide issue. The governor has a disaster proclamation in place right now that says the coronavirus is a statewide disaster. That's our own governor that says that. For this conversation, we don't have to question it. So when something is a statewide issue of state importance and we have state laws to deal with state issues, cities can't start wielding their own little fiefdoms. It doesn't work that way. So that's what I wanted to point out to you guys, and keep it up. Keep going to all of your aldermen. Keep going to Mayor Lightfoot. Go to all of them and tell them your vaccination policy is unlawful. You can't do it. We're citizens of this state, and we have rights that are protected by the Illinois Constitution and under Illinois laws that we cannot be forced to vaccinate. We cannot be forced to test. And you as a city don't have the ability to take those due process rights away from us. That's the argument. And again, you take that argument to them, and if you can win that argument, that vaccination policy is wiped out and it doesn't become a collective bargaining issue. That makes sense? So yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure you guys understood. Okay, have a good day. We're going to get back, stay on the road, and get to where we're going. See ya.